Grandfather Don Fendler bought the business and incorporated it in New York in 1931. In their 50s, my uncle and dad started working with the company. We started manufacturing in Maine at a little farmhouse in Palmyra in 1953, just shortly after I was born. And that started to grow pretty well, just making small choir robe kits initially, and then hiring a few more people. My dad had a little early made Volkswagen bus. We used to run around the countryside and pick up people and actually give them a ride to and from work every day. That was outgrown, and in 1959, as I mentioned 20 years ago, we moved to Pittsfield. Bought the Riverside Schoolhouse across the river from here, and started doing more manufacturing, but still a lot of the locations were, a lot of operations of the business were in New York City, and by that time in a little Main Street building upstairs in Purchase Street in Rye, New York. In the 1960s and 70s, we had pretty rapid growth. My Uncle Tom worked hard at developing a lot of mail media. Started out with little brochures and turned into the full type catalog that you see on the tables. Feel free to take these catalogs with you when you leave. And in the meantime, as the sales started to increase, there was pressure here to make things. Initially, early on in the business, a lot of the product that Almy had in the catalog was made by other people. And gradually, more and more operations and functions started occurring. We started making more things in Pittsfield. In the late 70s, we started doing some metalware manufacturing. Early 80s, in the 68 or so, we built this building. Expanded it a few times. In the early 80s, brought our metalware manufacturing into this facility. So there's quite a bit of growth. My brother Steve and I joined the company. More management folks, Don Woodruff among them here, joined the company and helped a lot of the growth in the late 70s, early 80s time frame. A lot of the business growth that we had over the years was through some acquisitions, but in general, we haven't seen a lot of overall growth in church business really for more than the past 10 years. It's been pretty stagnant, and right now our market is shrinking, and our challenge is trying to stay ahead of our competition, and by gaining customers, it's competing for market share business right now, and the market's getting smaller. Our traditional business has been, as the tagline is to outfit churches and clergy. So we make everything from liturgical vestments to choir robes to church metalware. We have personal clothing for clergy. In the tour today, you'll see that we have basically two kind of manufacturing operations here. We have a little metalware fabrication shop where we make candles like these candles right here, and metalware objects like this chalice and patent little dish candlestick. We also buy some of these products, but we make some here as well. In the textile side of the business, we spread and cut cloth and make all different types of products. No high volume in almost anything that we make. The product lines have expanded, as I mentioned before, over the years. Each year we tend to add things, and we're much slower at taking things out of the product line than we are putting things in. Creates inventory issues for us, but we're still plugging away. 2 years ago, we launched a new business called Lucid Candles. It's been our attempt to try to develop a product line that we can sell not just to churches and clergy, but to individuals at home. We've sold them, initially our big promotion was to try to get them into stores around the country, and we've done that. We have about 450 stores that are selling the product line, but it's a very low margin selling through stores. We have to discount heavily so that they can sell at a manufactured retail price that, a sales price that will give them some profit and create some demand within the store. What we've discovered is that we actually do better selling them strictly online, so we're focusing more on using our website to sell candles online. So we operate in 2 locations. Our primary office and function is in Armonk, New York. There we have our marketing and product management, our finance department, and sales and service all operates down there. It's about 30 people that work in Armonk. In Pittsfield, we have the manufacturing functions, our warehouse for raw materials, and all of our pick, pack, ship, distribution functions are here. Our IT operations are actually here too. All the servers that people connect with and use for order processing are remote connect to servers here in Pittsfield. So on the Almy side of the business, we've got personal clothing for clergy, we've got liturgical vestments, we have metalware and sanctuary appointments, we have choir robes, and we also have candles and supplies. Those are the things that we're making that we sell to churches. And on the Lucid side of our business, this other brand that we're working with, we have candles and fragrances. Almy produces a catalog very similar to the one that you see on the table here. That catalog goes to churches around the country. That's our primary marketing tool. And our website is also Almy. www.almy.com is our website. The website currently produces about 50% of our orders, about 39% of our business. Just 10 years ago, it was less than 15% of the orders. So online shopping is here to stay. The Lucid business also is a online business for us. We have an independent website for the Lucid candles, and we sell those to individuals, and that's a growing business. We're up about 36% in sales in that business this year. It's still a small part of our business, but it's one that it is growing, and we look forward to some more rapid growth in the future. Okay, so we have 3 tour guides: Steve Toll, Lindsay Cole, and Pat Lobb. And we're going to break the group into 3 groups. Steve will take some people to one of the departments. Which one are you going to start with?
I'm going to start in soft.
Okay.
Soft goods.
Okay. Then we'll look at the textile and soft goods part of all the things we make out of cloth. Lindsay, where are you going?
I'm going to metalware.
Okay. Lindsay's taking a group to metalware, and Pat's taking the other group to the warehouse, because there isn't another one left. And we will. And then after looking at the operations in each of those, your tour guide will bring you to another section, and then bring everybody back here. And I'll answer whatever questions you have. We have some refreshments and stuff like that for you, and we can go from there. Okay?
Before you go, this is the bicentennial year in Pittsfield, and we're in the process of honoring a number of the businesses that have been here. And Almy happens to be 60 years. Here's your ribbon.
Oh boy!
Which is you can present it here.
Okay.
And
We'll
there's
get
a
that.
certificate for those years.
Thank you very much.
It's a transfer machine that transfers the decoration from the film to the candle. And behind you is a whole bunch of different candles that we make.
Yeah. Here's some examples here as well. The level of detail we're able to get is very, very good quality. Essentially what this machine is and what the whole technology is no different than a DVD or a CD, for a movie, whatever that actually was how the company got started that did this. And then I believe somehow reinvented themselves after people kind of stopped buying CDs and DVDs. It's kind of old technology, so
They still do. The
they do,
library
but
still carries them.
but I think the volume has probably gone down a lot for these companies that do this. So we actually purchased this machine and came across doing this to decorate candles, and anything you can imagine for designs we can do. Photographs, I mean, we could get into personalized things for weddings, and it's endless. Right, RJ?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very durable. You literally have to. I mean, we can get them off. It's hard, right?
Yes.
Like it's acetone and a lot of elbow grease, and you can run this through the dishwasher all day long, and it's never gonna.
You can drop it on the floor too. It won't do anything.
Doesn't scar. Yes, I mean it's just a shell, so to speak, and those get molded in New York, and then we send them out to get tumble finish, which is basically a 6-foot wide drum of stone that kind of gives it this finish and feel that it has. It's kind of a very shiny, waxy looking feel when it's I know it's a candle, so waxy is probably the wrong word, but a plasticky looking feel, I would say. And once we're done with that, we have an injection molded top that we make as well, and this is actually a fiberglass wick that we put in, and this wick technically doesn't really burn. It's just a carrier for the fuel, and you fill the cylinder with liquid. I don't know if Michael burned one in there or not.
He showed us the bottle of it.
Show you how, yeah. So basically you fill it with liquid, put it in and leave it for maybe 30 seconds so it can just prime, and this will burn without filling it for 2 days. And then it doesn't change, you refill it and light it again. And it's very economical. The fuel is inexpensive for all things considered. The candle doesn't change, and it's
And you don't touch the wick. You leave the wick right where it is.
yeah, the wick, right. One of the problems we have is
You can use it.
people
like, forever.
don't understand, really all you're trying to do is just get a little bit of the wick, because normal candle wicks are, 1/2 inch tall, so people pull them up and they have a flame this big, and they don't like it.
So
Even
you
though we
never-
have instructions, but we all know how that goes. First
You
thing you
never
do is
have to
throw them in the
replace the
garbage.
wick?
Theoretically, no. We have candles in our office that we burn forever and ever and ever. If you use pure fuel. So the fuel we use is very pure. If you go to Walmart and buy something that's got impurities, it will might get carbon buildup. And there are other places you can buy pure fuel, but like tiki fuel, things like that. But the wicks are cheap and they're very easy to replace, so you could burn anything you want and replace it. So, although we highly recommend buying our fuel. 100 or something like that might be worth it, but these are about 50 to 60 cents each, but obviously for them to make it worth their while, they have minimums that they make. So, but yeah, this is words and a photograph, any art. I mean, just imagine a DVD. I mean, there's very any patterns, the detail level that we can get is very good, as you can see by some of the elephants and characters there, the shading. So we're still trying to find our way through the markets and get into the event planning type stuff where it's good, that they use a lot of candles, they don't have to throw them away, and they can just reuse them, or weddings where it might be a good giveaway to the tables to have the stuff like that. So we're trying to sell them wherever we possibly can. You can put the camera there if you want. So this is actually a little cover that we're doing, and this is a polished brass that we electroplate and we turn them into silver. When we finish them with silver, we can finish them with gold and nickel. We have different varieties of things, and we also have the entire items, the larger things that we plate. We just don't happen to be doing those right at the moment. So.
There's a cup there, dude, if you want to show that. That's guilt.
Okay. So this is an example of a chalice cup that the outside is silver and the inside is gold.
Wow.
And we do that
Real
through,
gold?
real plated gold, yes. It's, yep. It's one of those things that nothing I would ever thought of, but it's basically a white powder. It's actually real gold, and it's very expensive, and we electroplate it on here. And this actual chalice, we have an example of the in-process one down the way. So. You guys can call down this way. We're going to watch Gary over. Get in behind this machine. We can all watch him spin.
Yes.
Okay, I guess, why don't you go ahead and start with the
I laid out a few things here for you all to look at. This is just a small sample of what we actually do here. We have some post boxes, taps, some different towels, cups, skewers. I also have some samples of the materials that we use on a regular basis. And you take like a product like this, these are all the pieces that go into making that one piece. And we make all these pieces right here on site. And then we solder them together, and they all start out with a flat piece of stock just like that.
show them the chalice.
Sure.
That's the cup after it's spun.
This chalice cup here is a Durham chalice. We have a cast medallion that we have to fix ourselves. Then we have some other cast pieces that we bring in to make the center node for it. There is a neck that we make out of solid rod. I spin a base, and there's a base plate that goes into it. And I also spin a chalice cup, and this will get hammered to give it that nice hammer finish on the cup. We do that also.
So the cup and the base start out as flat stock like this. And Gary has a demo set up to show you how just purely simple it is.
This is a 6-inch Revere bowl, and we have a job currently where we're making one for the Rosalie Williams Public Speaking Award at MCI, and this is how we make it. I start with a flat piece of 50 thousandths material. I center it on the lathe. I put on a dry lubricant. I'm gonna have to fix that lip on it. This is basic. It's a little on the warm side, but
Our area is the warehouse. Everything you see in these different bins, each one is a different SKU number. We do our best to keep track of how often we go when we pick an item, and we keep the items that we ship the most frequent close to this line here, because we get a pick ticket that tells us where to go in the warehouse and how many to get for each one. So the closer the faster movers are to here, the better. We put them in totes, we put them on this line, it goes up to get packed. 8 weeks prior to Christmas and 8 weeks prior to Easter, we ship about 700 orders a day. This time of the year, for the remainder of the year, we ship between 300 and 400 a day. So we do have two real busy seasons, and those are before Christmas and Easter by far. So we pick an order. Everything down this section of the warehouse is finished goods, meaning it's ready. It's a product that goes directly to the customer. Everything up in that end of the warehouse is raw materials, and they're used to make the product that's down here. So we put them in these totes. They come up here.
You guys can follow him.
Yeah, come on up. we have 5 packing stations that's connected directly to FedEx and the post office. And depending on weight and the size of the package will determine if it goes through the post office or FedEx. And they scan the pick ticket, confirm that what they're packing is what the customer ordered, and then go into either the FedEx or UPS system. A label prints out, and from that point on, it's trackable. A customer could go online and see their order was processed, or track it until it gets to them. And FedEx picks up a couple times a day in a busy season, 3 times a day. Post office usually picks up once a day. And when we get cloth in, it has to be inspected to make sure it meets all our color requirements, and Chuck will explain what he does. If
You guys can come right in this way.
step right in so you can see it.
I check for flaws, and a flaw could be a slub, a hole, a stain, or anything like that. Anything you wouldn't want to see on your garments that you buy from a store. So we have a criteria inspection, and if it passes, then it just goes along through the throughout the process. If it fails, it's a different story. We don't like fails. Just like school, no failures. So I run this with this machine, and I have a light on. This helps me see if there's any holes in it. I have to look, like I said, I have to look for stains, slubs, trash, wrinkles, folds, creases.
Are the messages in there sometimes?
I've never seen any messages. If I did, it'd probably be Chinese, so I wouldn't be able to read it.
Oh, it goes one.
Yeah, that's probably yeah, that's like a blue ink stain right there. So I would mark it with this, so when it goes down to the cutting room, they'll know that there's a spot right there. It varies from different materials. It can be anywhere from 20 yards to 175. Depending on what the material is. This is a white broadcloth that they use to make shirts. On this one, probably 150.
This one is a tapestry. It comes from Japan. And we use it in altar frontals. We use it as banding. We'll cut strips like maybe 5 or 7 inches wide, and you'll use it down the front of a chasuble for a priest. So I'll just pass this around so you guys can touch and feel it. And before Christmas is purple. Red for Pentecost. So there's like 5 colors I can buy. I can't do the pretty fun colors. I can't do the new salmon or anything that comes out cool. But this is called Poppy. It's 100% polyester, and it does have a very nice pattern to it. You can pass that around. This is woven for us in 4 patterns. The Poppy only comes in 1 pattern. This is 100% silk. And yeah, it's very expensive. But it's very, very pretty, and it feels very, very nice. Banners, lots of times churches will want like a solid color, and then they'll have their church design on it, but we'll use a dupioni for that. We will also cut this and make bandings. We're working on a new product with the dupioni, where it's called Design Your Own, where we have certain base fabrics, and then they can choose what kind of banding they want. But the beauty of the fabric are these slubs and these designs. So we don't want this one to be smooth. Unlike that white broadcloth that was there on the inspection, you would not want to buy a dress shirt with all these slubs in it, okay? But the beauty of this fabric, and what you can notice in this is an iridescence. Do you see any purple or pink? There's a warp and a weft, and so they have 2 different colors, and that's where you get this design. I buy 92 different colors of this. We have 92 different do peonies right now. And so we will have, we have a knit, and we have like a crepe de chine type fabric that's a silky, blousey type material, that we can make certain blouses and things for the women. It's hard for them to find things. You know, you can't buy a man's shirt and expect it to fit a woman. So we're trying to find that little niche market for that. So, okay.
So you guys have been to metalware, obviously that would be our type product. Here we make primarily apparel, but we do make a number of hangings, dossals. We actually make banners. If you guys, throughout the town of Pittsfield, if you saw some Pittsfield anniversary, 200 years, we made those. We make a lot of banners for the MCI High School. They win a lot of championships, football, field hockey, things of that sort. So we really do a lot, we do a wide range of products. So all of them, however, begin out here in cutting. And in cutting, we have 2 different styles of cutting. It's not real technical terms. We have table cutting and we have hand cutting. So table cutting is primarily the cutting that's used for low variation, high volume products. So for example, we make about 20,000 shirts per year. That's a high volume product for us. So we can take advantage of that volume. There also isn't a lot of variation. It's generally one color, although they one color per shirt. So we're able to layer that material, and then with one cut, we're able to get multiple pieces of product, which from an efficiency perspective is a big advantage for us. The hand cut is almost the exact opposite of that. Hand cutting is by far less efficient, but it's required to make things that are more tailor-made. People want a very specific measurement on an altar hanging. It's probably, it hasn't modernized a whole lot over the years. It's very similar to going to, I remember the simplicity patterns. You know, my mother used to go and she'd grab one of those and try to make me something out of it. So very similar to that. You get the simplicity pattern, you bring it home, you lay it on a single layer of fabric, you cut it out, and then you end up stitching it all together. Our hand cutting is really not any more modern than that. It's still done the old school way. Anything that's patterned, our tapestries, hobbies, all of that requires hand cutting because you can't layer patterned fabric and get the same pattern of heat consistently. So everything has to be measured out and cut by hand in individual layers. That's hand cutting. So very similar to out there where we have hand cutting, we have table cutting. The table cutters typically are associated with choir and half, or this side of the floor. So the choir and half products are products like shirts, choir cassocks, tunics. They're products that we sell a lot of volume of, and they have very little variation in. So, meaning that sleeve length is standard, hem length is standard. We may make 2 or 3 sizes, whatever the case may be, but they're all standard sizes. That would be, again, associated with the table cutting. This side would be associated more with the hand cutting. So over here, they're making a lot more tailored items. Items that are very specific in size. Somebody wanted a wall hanging that was a very specific size. They wanted an altar cover. We do make some stock items on this side, and I'll show you one of them in the end here at the chasuble. The other aspect is, again, kind of being consistent with the table versus hand cutting. Whereas table's more efficient, it's always more efficient to mass produce an item than it is to produce one item at a time. So the items on this side of the floor, although they're no less important, from a price perspective, would certainly be the cheaper purchase for customers as well.
Do your stitchers complete one item, or do they only do a certain part and then move it on?
So right now we have both scenarios. The goal is to do more of a certain part and move it on. What we're trying to do is we're trying to move more into flow and less batch. So I started here about 3 years ago. And from my perspective, I came from a company that utilized lean manufacturing. So when I came here, it was, to me, it was similar to 1950s or 1960s manufacturing. You have these laundry carts that are just piled up with product, and somebody was doing something to them, and then they would push them some unknown place, and you couldn't tell what was done, what wasn't done. But it was kind of typical of the Lucille Ball days. If you've ever seen the video where she's trying to keep up with the conveyor belt and she can't, but the conveyor belt doesn't stop. It just becomes a mess. So yeah, so that's the two big differences really is high volume, low variation, low volume, high variation. Actually, Juki is a brand that we're moving mostly toward Juki.
Having fun? I am. That's awesome. Now I can imagine where you are. Lots of cats and toys. Right. I know, I love it. And a book. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a picture of you now, you know.
Automation will never get you. Tab. One of the things that people don't always know is this is just a tab insert. So I think people think that it's something that's somehow built in or whatnot. This is a choir scapula with a Trinity stole. So that's how that would be worn in a church. And then this is, and both of these products, including the stole, will be made on the choir side. This particular product here, this is one of our newer vestment lines. It's the Ave Maria. So the embroidery is all done here over on one of our embroidery machines. Obviously it's made out of pavia. The banding is made here with galloon and other materials. And it does have the Eucharistic understole. This will be made on the vestment side. So all of our chasubles will be made over here. So it isn't that we never make stock items on this side, because this would be a stocked item. You could go into the catalog and, you know, if you were purchasing for a church and say, that's the one we want. And we would make that or have that as a stocked item. But most items on this side, again, are more hand-tailored, non-stock.